Good day, everyone, and my name is Maksims Pisculins. I'm the CEO of Atea Global Services, and today we have a very interesting day. We are glad to welcome our group CEO, Steinar, to visit Ateas and spend a couple of hours together with us and present his view and his vision on the Atea strategy and how it applies to Atea Global Services. So welcome, Steinar, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Steinar, I would like to dive into a little bit more in details about the Atea Group strategy and how it might apply to Atea Global Services and how we can fit to that strategy going forward and support the main big group initiatives. And the first question from my side would be, from your perspective, successful IT company that is successful today, how and what it should do in order to be successful in 5 years' time?
So I think that most of our customers, most of the companies out there, private or public, is struggling with the fact that they're spending 80% or more of their resources to just keeping the wheels going around or the lights on, as you say. So I think that what we are trying to do and what many of our competitors or colleagues around the world is trying to do to help these customers is to help them to change that equation so that they spend more resources on developing new services. I mean, we call it to digitize their processes. So to move resources from just keeping the light on to new business development. And the way we can do that, and I think to be successful, you have to be able to support them in that change.
One more question would be about the three main pillars for the group strategy that you announced, and it's rotating in the group for a couple of months already: digital workplace, hybrid platforms, and information management. From our perspective, first two, digital workplace and hybrid platforms, it's something that is quite clear, quite natural for Atea Group as such, and it fits us. Whenever the information management, it's something new. It might be not new from the perspective of what that might mean, but to be so crystal clear and to be on the high radar from your side as a strategic initiative, I would say it's rather new. How can you elaborate a little bit more about information management? How it became on your radar?
Again, as I just said, the important thing for our customers is to spend time on new stuff. The really new stuff for the customers is how to make value out of their data. You know, we have a lot of information stored, and every second we store more data. It's almost like the things I have stored away in my garage. You know, I can't even know it's there because it's so much stuff there. And it's the same with the customer's data. So what information management is really all about is how do you collect data? How do you decide what to collect? How do you store it? Where do you store it? For how long do you store it? Some data should be stored only for seconds, and some should be stored for legal reasons for more than 10 years. And how do you secure it? But you know, mostly, how do you analyze it? How do you make value or profit, you know, really out of it? Is it customer data you're doing, or is it business development data, or, you know, is it environmental data about the development on the earth? How can we make meaning or sense out of that data? And, you know, IoT is a part of that business line. You know, security is part of it, privacy, GDPR, but also AI and analytics. And I think that also from an AMS point of view, that we will develop services around this area that we will sell as a service. So the, you know, IoT as a service, the SOC, you know, security as a service. So there will be many opportunities for AMS and for our Riga office also to make business on this. And I think also on the shared services side of the Riga office, to do analytics, because they're doing that internally for Atea. I mean, we're also a company. We have a lot of data. So it's also interesting for us to do the same thing.
Thank you very much, Steinar, for pointing this out. I really agree that information management is really nowadays, when its amount of information is so significant, it's becoming more and more critical to extract and present it in the meaningful and value delivering aspect. So thank you for clearing that out. One more question would be in that aspect, Steinar. Nowadays, it's still a lot of discussions about insourcing or outsourcing services. Same discussions about the products. You might buy from the shelf, or you might develop yourself some IP. What is your vision, Atea Group vision on owning IP versus maybe buying?
You know, I really believe that we have to do both. I mean, if we had a strategy where we should develop our own IP and that was the only thing, then we couldn't move fast enough. If we said we would buy all of it, we wouldn't have enough value. So I think we need to find that balance on, you know, the different areas that we're working on how much is going to be developed or you know, partially developed by us, and how much of what we sell to the customer should be where we are just a reseller and an integrator. So, you know, we're doing a lot of development actually, but compared to how much we sell, it's just a small part.
Mm-hmm. I see. And maybe the last but not least question, Steinar. I know you are a successful CEO of Atea Group for many years already, but if it would be possible to come back 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, would you do something different, and why?
That's an interesting question. I have two answers to it, okay? I have to, since I'm the CEO, I can decide that I have two chances here. But, I never really regret stuff. You know, there's so much things coming towards me, and I'm really focused on what I can do something about, which is what's ahead of me. When I sit down and discuss with people, I very seldom have discussions about we could have done that differently, why did you do that, or whatever. It's all about we're here, what can we do about the future. But, since you're asking me, if are there things I would have done differently? Yes, there are things that you never get that chance, but if I did get the chance, there are certain things that I would have done differently, and to mention a couple of them. First of all, I think that I would have been even more aggressive when I took over almost 6 years ago to do certain things together in the group. There are certain things that are so obvious that we should do together. Some of them we are doing actually today, but it took a long time before we got there. So I would have pushed some of these things faster. And secondly, I think that I should also have been tougher in the fact that we should consolidate on the vendor side. We still have, and we have fewer now than when I took over, but we still have too many vendors. And I'm not talking about the 10 strategic, I'm talking about the 250 behind them.
Yes.
So it's not easy for us to make value out of something that we don't know, that we just resell. So that would be two examples where we could have gone further, quicker. But as I said, I'm not the guy to regret stuff. I don't have that much time, so I try to spend the time wisely, and it's really looking to the future.
Thank you very much, Steinar. Actually, I know I promised that it would be the last question. However, when it happens with a nice dialogue and then you talk to nice people, you don't know when to stop. So I would like to ask a couple of more questions. Maybe since you've been mentioning in your last reply about the strategic vendors and so on, I know that Atea Group been and still is and will be the big partner for the Microsoft. How you see that partnership is going forward? Are we successful? Are we using both of us, Microsoft and Atea, at the maximum what we can? what is your perspective? What is a priority for Atea and the Microsoft cooperation for next 3 years?
I mean, we're never good enough, are we? And I think Satya would say the same thing, the CEO of Microsoft. We are really, really successful with Microsoft, though, and Microsoft is really, really happy with the collaboration. Doesn't mean that we're happy with everything and that we can't do things better. But we're the biggest Microsoft partner in Western Europe, and I think number 8 or 9 in the world. So, you know, humbly, I think we're doing okay. Microsoft is by far the biggest vendor we have in revenue, and the number of people in Atea who work with Microsoft is more than 1,500 people. So it's a very good and you know, immersive partnership. With all the changes that Microsoft have done to their programs, it has been a little bit of a hate-low relationship over the last 2 years. And so I think with the new agreement that we just signed, I think 3-4 weeks ago, where we're going to move some load from our data centers to Azure, and in reward, they're going to train about 400 of our consultants. Even here, you'll get the opportunity to be a part of that project. I think that we'll be even closer than we've ever become. When we look forward, there's a couple of things that I think Microsoft and Atea agrees on. So we do the bread and butter really well together. But we need to do some more experience, some more value-added initiatives. So security, analytics, IoT, you know, the AI, these kind of things, we're really not doing enough together with Microsoft. And Microsoft is investing heavily in these technologies, so they really want us to take advantage of it. And then, of course, that's all software as a service or Azure. So Azure kind of comes along.
Yeah. And another question would be, Steinar, how you see what else AGS and AMS in that sense can do in order to support all these 3 main pillars of the Atea Group strategy?
There is a role for AMS and AMS in Riga in all the 3 pillars. But I think one thing that I want you to challenge the rest of the company on is to develop better out-of-the-box managed services. I think we're not good enough at in developing these, you know, pre-packaged, you know, ready-to-go services to put on top of, for instance, Azure or Office 365, or, you know, around the partnership. So that is one area where I really think that we can, or you can, play a big role for us. But everything where we are standardizing are good for moving to Riga, because then we do it the same way all the time, you know, and it's easier to centralize it.
I see. Okay, Steinar, thank you very much for your precious time and for giving us a good feedback, how we do, your perspective on a group strategy and what role AMS, Riga and AGS will play in that. And I wish you have a fantastic day, and we'll be glad to see you a bit more often in our office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.